Oh, I'm flossing. Tell little bitch get up. Hit it once, had a feeling nauseous.
Welcome back, JJ Buckets. You know where you are. And free agency has been nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I think lost in the shuffle, maybe a little bit, obviously not entirely out of mind, but somewhat with all the recent news coming out about free agency, is the fact that the best player in this year's free agency is still available. Now, of course, you guys know I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard. I think when KD went down with his Achilles injury, it just became apparent that Kawhi was by far and away the best available free agent for this offseason, and he's still sitting there without a choice being made. So, with that being said, I decided that, hey, why not go through all the suitors left to take him and power rank them. Now, we're not going to include any kind of long shots or frankly teams that I think have just long been removed and not really in contention, like say the Knicks or obviously now the Nets because they got KD. They were on the rumor mill for a little bit but never really too serious, so they're not going to be included. It's just going to be the three teams left that we know are the obvious suitors, and now let's go through them. So we're going to start the power rankings at number 3 with the LA Clippers. Now, there's actually been a report that Kawhi has already told the Clippers no. So take that for what you will. It is from Chris Broussard, so again, take that for what you will. But that being said, let's still look at some of the pros here. Now, what's the pros of the LA Clippers? You got a good bench. You definitely do. Between Montrezl Harrell and Lou Will, that unit managed to steal a couple games off the Warriors in the playoffs last year. A healthy Warriors team too, for the most part, which was really impressive. They got some good young talent. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's gonna be a very good player. Besides for that, they have Jerry West, running that front office and running the unit from behind the scenes, and he's very competent. Obviously, we know what he did with Golden State. We know he knows how to manage a franchise. So it's a well-run organization with a good bench and good young talent. But the cons here is there's really no legitimate co-star left to join him on the Clippers. Most of the other big name free agents have found a home, and the best guy that's really left to pair with Kawhi is, Boogie Cousins. I really think off the top of my head that is the best player that I could possibly imagine being paired with Kawhi right now. So you can see why this would be the number 3 team on the power rankings. I mean, sure, there's some appeal of going to the Clippers, and yes, obviously part of the pros is it's LA. Kid's from LA. He wants to be there. That being said, the Clippers ain't it, fam. This is definitely, I think the ship has sailed on this one. I don't think Kawhi is going to be a Clipper, which is really funny because as long as these Kawhi rumors were around, everybody was talking about, he might jump to the Clippers. And now it just really seems unrealistic that he would want to go there. Now, the real threat in LA, we know what it is. And it is our number 2 team on the power rankings. It is the LA Lakers. And now, it's funny because the Lakers were, again, seen as the long shot to land Kawhi for a long time. People didn't really think he wanted to come play in LeBron's shadow in the Lakers, and we'll actually get to that in a second. But nonetheless, with AD joining the Lakers, all of a sudden now the Lakers are the top suitor in Los Angeles to come get Kawhi. So the pros here are definitely LeBron, Kawhi, and AD are more than good enough to be heavy title favorites next year. And I'm talking heavy title favorites. It is, I don't know if it's more or less than what the Warriors have been for the past few years, because it's an interesting situation where I think the Warriors would have had like just the better all-around team for sure than what the Lakers would have with a potential LeBron, Kawhi, and AD scenario. But at the same time, like that core three of LeBron, Kawhi, and AD are arguably all top 5 players. At worst, they're all top 7 players. And if you're throwing that together on one team, the chances of you winning a title are like pretty damn good. Frankly, I would say the chances of the Lakers winning multiple championships would be pretty decent, because no matter how bad the role players are, no matter how bad the supporting cast is, that kind of level of talent is more than enough to win a championship. We've seen it, with the Miami Heat, where LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade joined forces, and some of the supporting cast around them were a little spotty at times, but they still managed to come out of it and win NBA championships because that overwhelming star power is just too much. That, and you had LeBron at his peak, so that kind of helps. But nonetheless, you see my point here. That star power would be enough to definitely lift this team to a championship. And on top of that, again, you have to mention it. He's home. It's LA. He wants to be there. That's definitely a pro. Now, the cons for Kawhi Leonard and the Lakers. I think the biggest one that really jumps out to me is obviously the cap situation. It's heavily locked in on him, LeBron James, and AD. And at this point, there's really a limited supply of like good role players left and available that would suit that team well and that you could use to fill out that team. So your options would be a little thin after, obviously, Kawhi, LeBron, AD, Kyle Kuzma. The guys left there afterwards would be just like, they'd be okay. And the worry with that is, I know I just talked about the star power and everything like that being a huge pro, and it definitely is, but the worry there is the team is very legitimately, one major injury away from not really being in contention for anything. I mean, yes, if those 3 join forces and one of the 3 gets injured, don't get me wrong, the other 2 are still more than good enough to be very competitive, but they're not the same heavy title favorites that they would be with all 3 of them. And it's not what you signed up for. And between an old LeBron who just came off a season where he had an injury, AD who just dealt with some injuries as well and has dealt with some injuries over the past, albeit nothing overly concerning, and Kawhi Leonard who obviously had his injury, there is some history there that would make you, maybe worry a little bit that one of these guys could end up going down, and it could change just the whole outlook of your season. But there's another con here too, and I touched upon it earlier, and I came back to it. Like I said, this would still mostly be LeBron's team, I think, and Kawhi and AD would both be in LeBron's shadow for the most part, despite the fact that you could make an argument that both of them are better than LeBron. At worst, you can make an argument that Kawhi is better than LeBron. And the fact that, everybody would still kind of look at this as LeBron's team and try to give him so much of the credit. I don't know if that would really sit well with a guy like Kawhi. He seems like somebody that wants to be the guy now, and this is just totally me just reading into the psychological process of player and a man that I don't know. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But Kawhi seems like an alpha male, even if he's not the most vocal leader, even if he's not that kind of player, he does seem to want to be the star, want to be the main guy. And I don't know if you're really gonna get that when you're sharing touches with LeBron and when you're sharing the spotlight with LeBron. I think the touches thing would be less of a concern, but I think the spotlight, especially in a market like LA with a personality like LeBron, Kawhi could very well be the best player on that team and be the most forgotten part of it from those guys. So now this brings us to the top of the power rankings. And am I a little biased for putting the Raptors here? Maybe. But you know what? I think I have good reasoning for it. So, nonetheless, number one, it's the Raptors. So, what are the pros here? Well, here's a great pro right off the bat. You just won a title with this team. You just won a title with this team, and the core is still good enough for you to come back and aim for a repeat in an Eastern Conference that has arguably gotten worse, in my opinion. I mean, look at it this way. For next season, at least, the Bucks lost Malcolm Brogdon and Nikola Mirotic, which are two key pieces, I would say, on that team. Yes, there's bigger parts to it, but Mirotic and Brogdon definitely played a big part. I think Brogdon in particular is going to be a guy that they're really going to miss. So the Bucks have gotten worse. The Sixers, I don't know if they've gotten worse, but they've gone weird. They lost JJ Redick to the Pelicans, and now you just have a lineup where you kind of look at it and you see what, 1, 2, 3, 4 power forwards? No, but I mean, in all seriousness, like Ben Simmons is a point guard, sure. But like, yes, the additions of Horford and Josh Richardson are still very good additions, and this team is still definitely going to be competitive, like by every stretch of the imagination. But there's something that just feels weird about playing Al Horford at this point at the 4, and on top of that, you're going to be sliding over Tobias Harris to the 3, where he's not a very good perimeter defender. And while yes, you can hide his perimeter defense on these, surrounded by all these superstar defenders like Josh Richardson, like Joel Embiid, like Al Horford, like Ben Simmons, it's still a bit of an awkward fit. Just this thing just feels like an awkward fit, even though on paper it looks like it could be very good. I just don't know if it's really that much better or better at all than what they had last year, where maybe they were a couple bounces away from rewriting the playoffs a little bit. And the Celtics got worse, obviously. Now, like, they're losing Horford, they lost Aaron Baines, Kyrie's obviously gone, and you replace him with Kemba, who's not as good as Kyrie in my opinion, and it's still a little bit of a questionable fit to me, pairing a score-first point guard with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, players that are young and need the ball in their hands to develop and get better. I personally am not a huge fan of the Kemba fit, because I'm somebody that thought that they should definitely run with Tatum, as their star guy and just see how that goes. But nonetheless, they've also gotten worse in my opinion. On top of that, yes, you have the Nets emerging with KD and Kyrie there now, but KD's out for next season, so they're not really a huge factor for next season. So that's a long way of saying that you're the best team in the East in all likelihood. On top of that, the city and the fans absolutely love Kawhi. They adore him, like, to levels that I can't really quantify to you. Unless you're in the city, you wouldn't understand it. On top of that, like, the team has done everything in their power to make you feel comfortable. The opportunity to load manage is there, and it's actually something I glossed over with the Lakers maybe a little bit, is he wouldn't really be able to load manage and on the Lakers, because frankly you need to do that with LeBron as well. And he wouldn't really get the same opportunity to do that there as you would in Toronto. On top of that, you have a great front office in Toronto, which again is something that is questionable about the Lakers. Everybody knows Masai Ujiri. Everybody knows his reputation. You know he knows what he's doing. He obviously just put together a championship team with you at the helm. So, yeah. And then that leads greatly into the fact that my last point here is that the Raptors are going to have great cap flexibility after next season, with Marc Gasol and Kyle Lowry's contracts both coming off the books, at which point, if it's not working, they could easily retool and rebuild, well, not rebuild, but retool around Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam accordingly. So past that, what are the cons? And I'm leaving just an awkward silence here for a reason, because I don't think there really are a lot of cons here. The biggest con is it's not his hometown, it's not LA. Past that, I mean, I may be biased, but I don't see one. So there you have it. Those are my power rankings. What did you guys think? Let me know below in the comment section. Like and subscribe to the video. And other than that, guys, it's been JJ Buckets, and I am out.